Hello everyone, welcome to this video session on Bama's Karukku explanation of Chapter 3. This video is prepared as part of the discussion of Karukku, an autobiographical novel by Bama, which is prescribed in the paper Compulsory Foundation Course in English for the subject English Language at Mangalore University for 4th semester BCA and BSc. So this video is the continuation of the discussion made already on the chapter 3 in the last two videos. We will go ahead in the next part of the chapter 3 of Karukku. Welcome to today's video. In this video, we are going to take up the discussion of how Bama highlights the women's key role, the role played by the women characters, particularly women in their community in chapter 3. The description is made here in the chapter 3. So Bama takes several individual instances where how women become efficient in handling the difficult situations. Because in the part of the chapter that we finished in the last video, we left with the situation where most of the men from Bama's community were arrested and were punished, were even made to hide themselves from the hands of the police. So therefore, it was women who were only there at the home. So in the absence of their men, how did they handle their home? That can indicate the life force that women possessed in their community. So there are some examples. We can see one instance of a man who hid himself in a church, and somebody gave probably the information to the police, and the police went after him. So here and there you can see Bama also brings in some instances of light humor, not so very serious one, because the theme of the novel is little bit serious. It is discussing one burning issues of the day. But still we find some touch of humor here and there. We can see this man who entered a field. He grabbed a plow from a man who was tilling the land probably and daubed himself in mud. Yeah, he daubed himself in mud, applied mud to his face and body. So as if he's working in the field, and drove the bullocks not showing his face. He did not show his face, but he continued to draw the bullock, holding the plow. One can do that, right? So he continued that farm work, and the police who went after him probably couldn't identify him, and he saved himself. This is one instance. On the one hand, it shows a slight humor, but it's a humor where we cannot laugh. We can see that such a situation, such kind of technique that he has to use to save himself from the hands of the police. If he is caught, then he'll be punished severely, and we see the way ruthlessly they were beaten in the last part of the video, last part of the chapter. Then, in spite of all these strategies, this is one instance that she is giving here, right? In spite of all these strategies, 3/4 of the men in their community, among them, were caught with some disappearing into the mountains. You can see then people even disappeared into mountains, nearby mountains, and you can also see therefore absence of men to run the day-to-day affairs of their family. Can we say that the women of their community can sit helpless at this situation? No, in no case. We can see the way in the absence of a man in family, it is a women who become active and who shows their patience and efforts to survive the family. There are ample instances where when the man, the male member of the family, maybe he is the breadwinner of the family, who undergoes some kind of accidental issues. I mean, he may lose some limb or something. Sometimes even in the case of death of the main male member of the family, it is the woman who becomes the captain of the ship of that family, and she leads that effectively. That's the force, that's the courage a woman can possess. That Bama is trying to bring us this information here. So I think, dear students, here it is the novel becomes a test for feminist studies too, because we know Bama as a woman writer and also a Dalit Christian woman writer. She particularly draws our attention to how Dalit women took hold, they held a very prominent position in their home in handling the day-to-day activities of their household, right? Then you see, arrested men were moved to the Madurai jail. Then there was no possibility of releasing them. Of course, they did not have that money and bring them home on bail or something like that. The case was heard at the court. Once the case goes to when they were arrested and put into prison, then the next step is to court. And now, how to handle the thing? See the way women do it. Women divided the hearing cast among themselves and attended the court proceedings. You can see the way they handle, they share the hearing cast. One of them or two of them, some of them represented the whole section, all of them, and they attended the court proceedings. That's how unity is possessed by the women here, and they became active when the male members were not available to run the family thing, right? That's why the key role played by women is important here. We can also see one more incident. A 10-year-old boy from the North Street died. Death of a boy takes place then. They were frightened to go near the cemetery, as the Chalier boys used to hang around. See, the cemetery was nearer to the Chalier school, right? They had to bury now. They had to do the funeral ceremony. They cannot do that because their cemetery is nearer to the Chalier boys, and their men are not there even to support them or protect them. It is only women are left at the home. Then what to do? So beside the police beside, they had the fear of police also, right? They cannot bring even any men from their community because they were waiting to arrest them. So therefore they were patrolling the streets, highway patrol. You can see a vehicle highway patrol, that they patrol, in the sense they make a beats here and there, the law and order, for the assurance of maintaining the law and order. So they had to, therefore, you can see the 10-year boy's father certainly cannot be at home, but these women had to show that corpse, CORPS, right? Corpse means dead body. Corpse of that boy to that father who had hidden somewhere, right? Before the burial, they had to show his face. That's the conflict that they reached at. They had a plan now. What plan they did? They brought that boy's father from the hiding place at the Mandavan field. They had planned like this. He was at the Mandavan field. He hid himself there, and they had decided to bring him. How? By disguising him as a woman, morning attired in a sari. So the father is made to wear a sari. Attired means dressed. And he attends the funeral in morning. That's the way they planned it. And accordingly, they decided to go together to Mandavan because to bring him. And some of them even prepared grave in the evenings in the evening, because the Chalier cannot come without the police. In the evenings, the police were not there, right? Therefore, the Chalier wouldn't come to disturb them. Therefore they worked after evening, right? Ratri hotnal kutkondu ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನ grave ಅನ್ನ ready ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. Who never go near the cemetery in the night. That's another thing. The Chalier never goes near the cemetery. That's another thing. Anyhow, you can see now the walking towards the Mandavan continues. At the Mandavan field, there was a banyan tree with fire-breathing pisasu. Yeah, there was a story of that pisasu. Pisasu is a demon, I think I can say. Yeah, a demon, a ghost, a kind of ghost. The people believed that there is a fire-breathing pisasu near Mandavan field in the banyan tree. So dear students, you should observe one thing here. So in our village side, you can see in the countryside, lot of examples of these kind of stories. I think it is our ancestors made these stories or these kind of beliefs, created these kind of beliefs as a part of probably preserving environment. Say in this case, for example, if you do not go to that part of the forest because of the pisasu, certainly they don't disturb that tree, cut that tree, branches of the tree, and the forest is preserved, right, in any way. So therefore, the role of even what we say, those who educated informally, not formally, by admitting to some institution, their role is also there in preserving environment. This is an example. I think I can say this as one substantiate, one example which substantiates people's concern for forest, because it is a belief that they developed in order to preserve, it seems, the forest, right? Whatever it may be, you can see that tree is preserved, that part of the forest is preserved. Now they, even to walk to that part of the forest, they have to take care, they have to go carefully. It is set to guard, and they believed that Pisasu would guard over 7 cauldron of coins. There were 7 cauldron, big vessels of coins, showing that it would lure people, and many had seen it, right? Showing that gold coins, 7 cauldron of coins that would lure means attract the people to come there, and many had seen it also. That's the situation. Okay. It was a terrible description, right? She provides the terrible description of the giant. Giant means the huge creator. You can see the way the people described it. It had hair hung in matted locks, matted locks. Then long nails. It has got long nails, glowing eyes like torches, smoke steaming mouth and nostrils. See, people had their own description of these things and created fear, because for probably to preserve that part of the forest or some other reason. Of course, beliefs were there in order to make people avoid walking in the nights in that part of the forest. These are some of the reasons also behind that. Scientifically we can find this. Anyhow, it appeared in different forms. They believed that Pisasu would appear in different forms. Sometimes a tiny baby, a fox, a young girl, different forms for the Pisasu were also there. So it was towards this Mandavan women hurried with their sari. You can see this line is important. It was towards this Mandavan, not an ordinary one. People kept that Mandavan as a something which is very horrible to see or go, and women walked without the support of men here. You can see that means the key role that women had in that part of that society. They dared to face all these circumstances and situations that you can see here, right? The endurance they possessed is appreciating, and Bama is trying to appreciate that. Anyhow, so they finally brought that fellow. You can see in the meantime, the other side, they made the grave by digging the ground using a shovel. Shovel is a kind of spade, right? So ಒಂದು ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ದಕ್ಷಿಣ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ. So that is to dig a ground. Yeah, because they have to dig the grave, alva. So therefore, then the father, disguised in a sari, saw his son. He came there disguising, in sari. He stood silent and stunned, unable to cry aloud. You can see the way situation is there. His son's dead body is in front of him. He cannot cry. He cannot cry. He has to stand silent. If he cries, his voice, male voice, is heard everywhere. He is attired in female dress. That's the situation you can see. In a grief-stricken condition also, a man's cry is controlled. He cannot even sob. He cannot even, the tears cannot roll out of. He should have to prevent that also, because we see a loud cry, or a cry in that moment would probably some kind of, provide some kind of palliation. A kind of relief. That never happens here. Not possible, right? Anyhow, the police stopped when he was on the way. Even that person was wearing the sari. When he was brought on the way, the police stopped them, but they managed it by telling them they are from the next village to attend the funeral. That's how they reached there. Before the dawn, women themselves buried him, right? They have no option. They did it. They buried him. The father disappeared into the same Mandavan field. Then thereafter, there was no other option for him to stay at the village. Everyone prized the women for their smart managing of things. A prize for women is also there from Bama's side. You can see, because she also appreciates this. She appreciates this because women, among them, even in certain other communities, in the patriarchal setup, They were not given opportunities to manage things. Here they got an opportunity, and they proved that they can manage things better or even effectively, right? So then anyhow, finally some men after a few days returned on bail after a few days. Then others were kept imprisoned with repeated adjournments of the case. So thus the things continued, and gradually things became better, right? It began to getting better, because we see, but still there were bitter incidents. The Middle Street Alphonse, who was injured earlier because he was beaten badly by the police, until he vomited blood, right? You can see that's how he was beaten, and he died the second day after he was left out of the jail. So he came home but to die, because he was beaten so badly at the lock, at the prison, that he died on the very second day when he came home. So thus we see on the one hand we see the atrocities, the way police exploited them in the name of this case. On the other hand, this part of the chapter shows the women's courage to face the situation. So thus gradually the Paraya and the Chaliar communities began to act towards each other, and they forgot the fight over the cemetery, and they won the cemetery case too. Yeah, the Paraya won the cemetery case too, and the celebration of their men arrived filled happiness in every house thereafter, that she mentions in page number 44 of OUP. And some thanked God, and some Saint Anthony, some decided to have a mass. Mass is a congregation, an assembly, and to have a Pusai, right? So that praising, singing of Pusai in gratitude. And others opposed, as the priest did not support them during the crisis. Some people even opposed, supporting or thanking Saint Anthony, because he did not support them during the time of crisis. Yeah, because a help when one in need is so valuable, is invaluable, right? When one cannot do that, if they betray somebody when they are in need, that would make people remember ever, right? So that's the thing here. And despite all the debates, you can see it was just great happiness in every house, because the issue, the crisis, got somewhat resolved and settled here. Thus, this part of the novel, in chapter 3, Bama, on the one hand, shows exposes rationally the police atrocities on their community, and how even intercaste class and caste-based partiality was shown at them. On the other hand, she highlights the key role played by the women from the Parayan community in handling the crises, and she makes an appreciation of their skill in handling the difficult circumstances of life. So anyhow, thank you for watching this part of the video. We will go to the last part of chapter 3 in the next video. Thank you. See you in the next video.